should we redefine what fair wear and tear is with the lettings industry? Today, I'm joined by Siân Metcalfe, who is Operations Director for Inventory Base. Siân, you said to me before we switched the cameras on, you think fair wear and tear needs changing. What did you mean by that? Talk to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair wear and tear is outdated. So I did some research looking at fair wear and tear as part of a white paper that I'm writing. And if you look at what we've been doing in the last few years, post-COVID, as I put it, since 2022, 38% of people are now operating a hybrid model for working from home and at work. And of those, 12% are actually working from home constantly. Now, if you take fair wear and tear back to its origins, we can actually trace it back to about 1267. That was the Statute of Marlborough. There was already indications then about tenants looking after their property, not creating waste or damage. But it wasn't until the Victorian era where we actually started to kind of use that kind of phrase. But it was then officially put into place in 2007 when we had the change in law and we started using deposit schemes and the deposit dispute process. So if you think about it, we've gone a long way since then into where we have modern living now, where tenants are working from home. They are living in their houses as well as working from their houses. So it used to be that they'd be out of their house 8 hours a day working. Now, 9 times out of 10, they're in the house working and living. So of course, then fair wear and tear is going to escalate. And we've never really looked at the whole structure of fair wear and tear in regards to damage, dilapidation, looking at the costs and the current mechanism that deposit schemes and adjudicators use to understand depreciation. But more people are living in, and working in their homes. So an example I use, I've got a cream carpet because I work from home 2 days a week. I'm in the office 3 days a week. My carpet needs cleaning more often than not because I'm living and working at home more often than not. So it's a natural escalation of fair wear and tear that we would see a change in that dynamic from where tenants would not necessarily be at the property for any length of time. So we just need to relook at this and understand, well, is that fit for purpose? And if it isn't, then what do we need to do about it, i.e. consultation, look at the current regulations, are they fit for purpose? And then look to see, well, how can we make sure that it really reflects how modern tenants use their property?
So by the sounds of it, landlords are having to pay just because their tenants are in the houses longer.
Well, potentially. So it depends on the
district. Is that fair?
Well, no, to be honest with you, it's not fair. It's not fair on the landlord. It's equally not fair on the tenant because tenant is basically saying, well, I live in the property. It may be that they are required to work from home, or it's just because of how things have changed since COVID that that is the only way they can work. It's not necessarily the tenant's fault. They're not necessarily causing more damage, but the fair wear and tear side of it has escalated.
Okay, so if you were the housing minister, what would you be changing?
So as if I was the housing minister, first of all, consultation. I would look at the...
No, let's just say you were in a dictatorship. What would you do?
A dictatorship. Well, that's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, come on. You posed the question.
No, I did, and I've actually written a white paper on it as well.
Okay, as. Well, let's see what you got to say.
I have said in my white paper that first of all, we need consultation. We need to scrap the current fair wear and tear description and rules, and then we need to redo them to reflect the modern use of rental properties, and also educate tenants about what they are, because often when I've spoken to tenants in my previous life as an inventory clerk business, they don't understand it. They just know that their deposit is taken and they just want to get their deposit back, and then they almost auto expect that deductions will be made, but they're unclear exactly what constitutes a fair wear and tear. If I scuff the wall, is that okay? But if I damage the wall, like put a hole in it or knock it or chip the edge of the wall, is that damage? Is that something that's going to come out of my deposit? They're not particularly clear. And we do have some rules and regulations and some guidance around that from the deposit schemes. But again, it's centred on what we've been doing since 2007 or
Okay, but if there's a scuff
pre-2007.
on the wall, just because someone's there 3 days a week as opposed to just evenings and weekends, to me as a landlord, that makes no difference to me.
No, but it will indicate whether the property is going to be more in use. So there's likely that the scuff marks will be more. It's likely that the
Well, that should come out
wear
the
of the
tenant's
tear will be
deposit. That
more.
should come out the tenant's deposit.
No, it shouldn't do. It needs to be re-looked at to make sure that the actual rules and regulations themselves are fit for purpose for how
Okay,
we
so
want
I'm
them to
renting
use
a
it.
property for 6 months, 12 months. How I use that property is irrelevant. Whether I'm there 3 days a week plus weekends or whether I'm just there weekends and evenings. Irrelevant.
No, I disagree. I think it is very relevant because it's how you use it.
So is this a charter for tenants who work from home to have scruffier houses when they hand their
No,
properties back?
no, absolutely not. And that's the last thing we want. What we don't want is create loopholes for tenants to be able to use that as an argument. What we want, and what I'm suggesting, beg your pardon, that's not what we want, it's what I'm suggesting, is that we relook at the current rules around fair wear and tear, look to see, are they fit for purpose? Are we managing the property and looking at the dispute process in the right way? Are tenants unfairly being penalised because the fact that they are working from home, therefore they're going to be in the home, they're going to use the home more? Equally, are landlords ending up picking up the bill because the fact is that tenants are living in the property and working in the property, therefore the wear and tear is more, but because it's deemed as fair wear and tear, the landlord's having to pay more money, i.e. to clean the carpets, replace the carpets, do the decoration. So at the moment, repainting walls is normally expected to be done every 5 years. But if a tenant is living in the house and working in the house more, then could that timeline be brought down to 3 years? Should it be decorated every 3 years? And of course, then from a landlord point of view, that's more cost. Is that fair to the landlord? But equally, is it because not the tenants making it doing any damage? It's more the fact that they are just there in the property present. Therefore, they're going to use items more. Doors will be opened, cupboards, carpet will be walked on. So again, using my analogy of the cream carpet, you're seeing more wear on the carpet. It's getting grubbier quicker because it's being used more.
Is Sean talking about her rubbish or is she absolutely spot on? Put your comments in the reply section. Thank you for your time today, Sean.
Thank you.